All right, here we go. We're going to begin. I'm going to say, to me, the interesting part of this project. I mean, you guys have all seen at this point, if you watched the previous videos, you've seen the Austin America, you've seen the brakes, you saw Get It Run, Will It Run, and when I first brought it home, you saw Will It Run 2.0 when I fixed the carb and got it actually running. Still have to account for the fact that I'm in literally a ported vacuum hole for the testing here as opposed to manifold vacuum, but that's a different story. This video series is going to kick off finding the massive oil leak. I mean, I'm calling it massive. I put a towel down here to try to stop it, but we got the Exxon Valdez down here. It's been puking oil at an alarming rate. This car was full of oil when I first brought it home, and I haven't driven it. I haven't done anything. It was full in the dipstick, and if you look now, I mean, you can see we're down below the min mark, and that's all just oil it's put on the ground from running. It hasn't done anything interesting. It's just from the little bit of time, and most of that's on video that it's been running for, this thing has put at least a quart of oil on the ground. Now, when I bought the car, the guy he was honest about it. He said there's a massive oil leak. He told me it was the torque converter, which this is an automatic, which is a little funny. So inside here, there's a torque converter that comes off the crank of the engine, and then it actually transfers power down to a different shaft, which runs this way again, and is sort of like the automatic transmission, as it is in this thing. He said it was the torque converter that's puking oil. What I noticed when I first got it running is that oil's not puking out of the torque converter at an alarming rate. It is leaking, but the bulk of the oil that's coming out is dropping off right here in the middle of the engine. And you can see the floor here, a lot of it's right here. So I think that there's two things going on. Do I think the torque converter is leaking? 100% it's leaking. Is it the big leak? I don't think so. I think the big leak is actually this oil filter housing that's down below the generator here. This has a weird oil filter system in it because the engine oil actually runs the transmission. So the engine has two oil pumps in it. One of them is a regular oil pump that pumps it around for the engine. The other one generates, I think it's up to 200 PSI or something crazy that actually runs the transmission, but it uses the same engine oil as the sump. So I think because of that, there's a special oil filter for this. It's actually a hard oil filter to find. It's a canister filter, not a spin-on. Probably because of that crazy pressure, a spin-on would probably just burst. But I don't know if someone changed the oil and that thing isn't sealed anymore, or if it just developed a leak. But I'm really, really hoping that we're going to take this stuff off. We're going to see a massive leak on the oil filter housing, and that's going to shut down 70% of the oil leak. I think the other 30% is going to be the torque converter. I think that's going to continue to leak. The story that the original owner told me was he bought this in 2010 from California. The person he bought it from had the trans rebuilt, which is the Achilles heel of the Austin America, from what I understand, is the automatic transmissions were great units but required really clean oil. And people didn't change the oil in their engines enough, and it polluted the transmissions, created leaks. These cars got junked rather than fixed because of the cost to fix them. So this is kind of a rare car in the condition that it's in, without the rust, the fact that it still exists. It's kind of neat. So this transmission is actually a bit of a bogey. I don't know what we're going to do with that. If we do find an oil leak here, which I'm really hoping we do, and we're left with a leak in the trans out of the torque converter that is problematic, we'll have to make a decision. I think I've said in a couple of videos, this isn't the kind of car that I'm going to keep. This is more my speed, as my dogs sit there and look at you. Volkswagen stuff. I've got a military ambulance over here from Vietnam. I've got a Daimler Ferret from Gulf War I out in the pasture that needs to be resurrected. The military stuff, Volkswagen stuff is more my game. This is a little more something just fun to work on because British cars are super cool. Things seem a little bit overcomplicated at times, but honestly, it's really neat to work on something that has an original automatic transmission designed in the 60s that's actually a predecessor to some of the automatic manual transmissions that are out there today. when you get in like, and my son has a Ford Focus from 2012, 2013, and it leaks transmission, it leaks oil because it's actually a hydraulically controlled manual transmission where you've got dry clutches and hydraulic packs that actually shift it, and they leak and it's a big problem. But like net, this transmission in this car, they used this in production vehicles until like the early 2000s. This is a tried and true design of the early sort of hydraulically shifted manual transmissions, and they are automatically driven. So it's super cool, and I did a video on the brakes, and you can see how the brake calipers actually swing on a pivot as opposed to using slide pins. Super cool stuff you just don't see very often. You know, actual valves to turn off the heat as opposed to, you know, just changing where the air vents in a heater box. So neat stuff, comes with its own little complications. Goal of this video is to pull the generator, start to look at this oil filter housing. My goal is to pull this off, fire this thing up, and hope we see oil pouring out of that oil filter housing somehow. If we do, awesome, we'll fix it. If we don't, we'll try to evaluate where the leak is coming from. Secondary leak over here in the torque converter. I mean, I'd like to say I'd fix it. I don't know if I will or not. It just depends on how bad it's leaking and if it's something that I could live with. Looking at this now, I'm seeing some space back here, and I'm seeing a torque converter cover that I'm kind of like, well, maybe I could pull this cover off and not have to take the engine out, pull the torque converter and reseal it. Who knows? Maybe that's a future video. But for now, I'm going to get some tools. I'm going to pull this off. I don't know what's involved. This igniter, the Pertronix igniter somebody put in. Terrible advance curve, by the way. Like, don't do this to your car. A 25D distributor, the original one. This thing, part of the problems I'm having with running this car is that this distributor advance curve, it has mechanical as well as vacuum advance. The mechanical advance curve is not right for this engine, and I'm having issues getting it to run like I'd like. I'm blaming this. Maybe somebody who knows more about these cars than me could correct me, but this feels wrong to me. But anyway, I think that I'm going to get this out of the way. That should give us access to the oil filter. I got to pull the reason I mentioned that is that I got to pull this coil off. This isn't the original spot for the coil. The coil goes over there somewhere in the typical configuration. But with the igniter and this funny wire that you have to ground out for positive ground, you know, we got some extra stuff to take off. But let me get you guys set up. I'll get some tools and we'll pull the generator off, and we'll start to see what there is to see, and hopefully we find that oil leak. My hope is that up here, I don't know if you guys can see it, that's the bottom of that oil filter housing. I really do feel like we've had a lot of oil coming down from there, and I'm looking at this and seeing what looks like a really wet underside of the oil filter housing. Right up here, this looks soaking wet. So that tells me that that gasket is almost assuredly leaking. So is that where the huge chunk of our oil leak is coming from? Or are we back over here with our friend the torque converter? Heck, guys, I don't know. I do think we're going to take the oil filter housing apart and try to understand how it works. Alrighty, so going to get started trying to pull this off. Don't exactly know what the process is. This is going to be a coolant temp sensor that, you know, fairly obvious since it's right by the water jacket. I think I'm going to pull this igniter, the igniter coil off. Like I said, that this isn't really the right spot for this. Based on the pictures I've seen, at least, they put this coil in a different spot. So I'm not exactly sure. I don't know where it's supposed to be. We're going to just kind of run with what we have. We do need to keep this large gauge wire from one side of the coil to the block. It's part of the igniter installation package. Not exactly sure. You probably accomplish this same goal in a different way on a different area of the car, but we'll take that off for. Oh boy, dropping parts, everybody, dropping parts. So far, everything on this car has been Imperial, which has been great because it made it super easy to work with. So let's get the coil out of the way. We're just going to move it off to the side for now. Not too worried about this overall bracket thing here. It looks like it's actually mounted. Hopefully you guys can see this. I think you can. It's mounted over here. Like, this looks like it's clamped around the generator, so when we pull the generator, We'll be pulling this whole bracket for the coil as well. I just kind of wanted to loosen it off, and it looks like I just loosened that, and it's not actually what was holding it. Normally I would take some pictures in here so I could know where all this stuff goes, but because I'm filming this, again, relatively new to me for this whole YouTube thing, kind of have captive audience on exactly what's happening. Don't need to film it all. This is a pretty big connector here. It seems like a blade connector on the back of the generator. I'm going to pull it off. I mean, should just be field. Yeah, it comes right off. So we've probably got like main from the battery here, this big one, and then this is probably the field over here for exciting it. Looks like we got a bolt here and a bolt down here for the bracket. And then we got a pivot here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. Oh, there's got to be. Oh, I don't know. There's got to be an extra pivot somewhere. Like this is attached pretty firmly here. Undoing that and undoing this, there's got to be something that allows this thing to like pivot and lock it in place for belt tightness. But we're just gonna keep loosening stuff up until we get this thing off. Again, there's probably someone out there going, "What are you doing, you idiot? That's not how you do this." Yeah, I just. Like I said, man, I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go. This one's tight. This feels like belt adjustment level of tight. Like, I don't want the belt to come loose, so I'm going to ramrod this thing down. Let's see. I don't know. Like, I've been kind of commenting nonsensically during a lot of these videos as I go through this. A part of the fun for me in all of this is just sort of seeing how it all goes together and seeing how it works. You know, fortunately for me, and this might not be true for everybody, I kind of like the adventure of figuring things out. When I do the ferret video and I talk about how I put that thing back together, there's no manual for a Daimler ferret. They only made 4,000 of them. There's some factory documentation of how things go together, but there's no like Haynes manual. This Austin America is a little bit like that. They obviously, it wasn't a, I don't want to say it's a rare car in the United States. I've had some comments from some folks that have watched my videos from England, and they said these cars were all over the road, or cars like them, back in the 60s. So it's not rare necessarily in terms of production numbers, but in terms of like go to a website and learn everything there is to know about it, I have not had good luck outside of one website, which admirably does a good job of educating, but does not have specifics of like, how do you take the alternator off? Oh geez, this thing is already flopping around. All right. So a pivot is here, and then there's got to be something lower that's for belt. Oh, I can feel it, for belt tightness. All right. I don't know what size that is. That's looking bigger and is looking like a socket to me. Yeah, there's one more piece down here. Oh, actually, maybe I can just undo it right there instead of undoing the thing. I really wish I could tell how much of this you guys could see. Like, I don't know how interesting this is. Like, I might end up posting very little of this online. Like, is it cool to take a generator out? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe if you need to do it and no one has videoed it before, and like I said, there's no manual, this would be a great video to watch. I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. I'm only taking the generator off because I got to get to what's under it, and I can tell you that that is not the size that we want in terms of the. Can I move this to get the belt off at least? Yeah, I think I can get the belt off now. I just kind of like hocked it out of the way, so that'll let me drag it backwards a little bit. There we go. All right, so the belt is undone. Again, I will figure out how all this goes together once I get it apart. Sort of counterintuitive, but seems to be the way it is. All right, there's definitely a larger nut down here to get the belt tightened, or untightened, I should say. Yeah. Hopefully I can slide this down there and just loosen that enough to get this thing moving around. See if that'll work. Best of both worlds. It's a socket, it's a wrench, it's all of it. I mean, if this thing comes off this easy, I'm going to be pretty impressed. Just based on, you know, you get 2 wires and one stupid tightener. Totally gambling that we've got an oil filter leak on top of a leak with the torque converter. And we shall see. This is coming off. I don't want to lose the nut or the weird washer that's also on here. Or is it just a stack of regular washers? Yeah, it's a little bit stack of regular washers. But that should be the generator. And there she is. So coil mount here, which again, I don't know, that looks like it almost belongs there, but in other pictures I've seen the coil's over there. So I don't know. I'm thinking it's not supposed to be like that, but we'll see. Generator, it is definitely a generator because we got the regulator up there. You put this off to the side. And I'll bring you guys in for a look, sort of at what we're up against. So, with the generator out of the way, I mean, I'm already seeing this is the fine, the fine outline of an oil leak. I think what we're gonna have to do. Oh, look at this! I don't know if you guys can see it. This is a horn that's just sort of rolling around down here, not hooked to anything. There's one next to it. There's a horn over here that's actually affixed. I don't know where horn number 2 is supposed to mount, but he's got a, see, look at this. This has been taken off on purpose. My guess is that was taken off so that somebody could get to this from the bottom to change it. So that just begs the question, did they do it right? I'll tell you guys, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the right answer is here. Do we run it and look for the massive oil leak? Do we just take it apart and see if we can detect it? Man, I don't know. All right, so before I hit pause by accident, I think I'm gonna take this oil filter housing apart, make sure we don't have any leaks in here. Oh, I can see a massive leak. Like, we're gonna take this apart, reseal it, clean it real good, and then what we're gonna do is fire the engine back up without the generator on it, and we're just gonna look and see if we can detect where the oil leaks are coming from. So I'm gonna grab some tools and we'll take this apart. I mean, if it's been leaking, it probably won't be full of oil, but it should be full of oil, and we'll see what we get. So one moment, please. Alrighty, it's our first 5/8 on this project. We're starting to go up in the world. Oh, this was not even tight. Huh, well, these shouldn't be crazy tight, but that was really loose. You can see it's already moving around. And as I spin it around, you can see just how much oil has been pouring out of this thing. So I don't want to say that, oh, we figured out where the massive oil leak was from, but I've always kind of felt it was here. We're about to dump a bunch of oil out. I did put a pan under this. I mean, I wish I could say that it's going to be the first time this thing's dropping a ton of oil, but it isn't. Oh, you know what? This hole here indicates to me that I have to loosen this off from the housing. I'm not gonna. I thought I was just gonna pull the whole housing off, but it looks like I got to pull this nut into the bolt independently. Yeah, so that's gonna come out here, and I'm gonna just dump oil everywhere as I try to experiment with this. Apologize to anybody who knows a better way to do this. As I've stated many times, I am a ham-fisted amateur. Alright, so that is now loose-ish. There's a rubber O-ring here that's preventing our full-blown extrication. And now I got oil on my hands, so it's extra not wanting to come out. I kind of want to just pick it right out of here, but it's so close but not close enough. Alright, so I don't know if I'm going to need a glove or a rag. I'll tell you what, there's quite a bit of bolt here. There we go. There we go, ish. You guys get to watch this struggle unfold in real time. Ah, who's the idiot? I'm trying to pull it through there and it actually comes through. Alright, so I'm the idiot. Like I said, Don't laugh too hard at me. All right, so this is the ultra rare, difficult to find oil filter that is in this thing. AC. Well, that's not British, folks. The reason I chuckle is because the guy gave me a filter with this car, and he's like, this is the hard to find oil filter. I'll show, let's go grab that. Put it in the trunk. Yeah. Oh, the trunk is clean. Where did I put it? Is it over here in Mr. Parts pile? Hey, there it is. AC Delco. All right, so I don't know. Maybe he did get it from AC Delco. So this is what he gave me. Crossland 676. I mean, my estimation, this is not new. This looks like it's probably used. I mean, this one that's in here, I'm not changing this just for the sake of changing it. Ooh, I see some parts down in there. All right, let's take a moment to evaluate the part situation. We got a plate, we got a washer, we got a spring. So more than likely, since this guy was in here, he was in here like this, although it's the same on both sides, it's probably going to end up being, let's get this stuck washer out. Yeah, that fits in there good like that. Then you're going to have the spring, then you're going to have the washer pushing on the spring, and then you're going to have the bolt that comes through. That's my professional estimate. It's just going to continue to drip oil everywhere. That's cool. That's fine. So the real culprit that I'm looking for is whatever was sealing this edge here. That's where I think our problem probably is. Let's go back over here and look at what we got. And I do see what looks like an O-ring in there. Let's get a pick and sort of figure out if that's going to be something that comes out, if that's something that's firmly affixed. Like I said, folks, that was not a... where's the pick? Oh, there it is. That was not tight. Like, that oil filter housing was not tight like I would expect it to be. Yeah, there's definitely an O-ring in here. I won't lie, I'm afraid. For two reasons. One, I can't help but wonder about this little, I don't know if you guys can see it. There's like a cutout here. My guess is it's for this. I'm kind of afraid to drive this seal out and have it not go back in, or somehow be otherwise compromised. So what I think we're going to do, it does feel fairly pliable as I'm poking at it with a poker. I don't know. I mean, my options are I tighten it up, I clean all this up, I tighten the heck out of it and make sure it's really tight, and then I check for oil leaks again. That seems like the smartest course of action based on the fact that this gasket is here and it is rubbery, pliable-ish. The other option is, I was going to say the other option is I take it out, and now a decision's been made for me since here it is. This thing's fine. It's still pliable, it's still rubbery. I think this leak was created by somebody who didn't take the generator off to do the oil change and tried to come up from the bottom around all this other nonsense and was not able to get it tight. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this over here with the rest of this stuff. I am going to then do something that is not fun to watch, which is going to be clean this area really good so that it's dry and it's shiny. And then we are going to put this back together and fire it up and look for oil leaks here. All right, so we're going to put this back in. We're going to put the oil filter housing back on. I got it all cleaned up down there. I'll show you guys down below. All the oil's cleaned off, so any new leaks that we see, we'll see as fresh new leaks. Kind of thought maybe this pipe here might be leaking. This looks like some kind of return that dumps back into the oil pan, but it looks dry around that. The only place I've seen that looks like it's leaking, I'm sure it was leaking, was this. Now, obviously, we still have the issue with the torque converter. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this back together, verify we don't have any leaks from the oil filter housing. And then once I know that is good, then we'll tackle, kind of the rest of it. We'll start to look at, we'll fire the motor up. We'll see if it leaks out of any of this stuff. I'm going to put some cardboard down. We'll look for the drips. Drips in the middle, we didn't solve this leak yet. Drips on the passenger side, then we know we got the torque converter over there. And hopefully if I slow the huge leak down, it's going to let us run the car for a while so that we'll be able to start to, actually see if anything's working, not working, whatever. Because right now we can barely run the thing. So this guy here should work where you guys can see. This here, I was sort of forcing off without wanting to force it off. So I was like, I need to get the bolt out to the side, but it actually came out both ways. But this is part of the seal for this. So let's run this back down to a spot where it will be able to do its job. There we go. So, and that's got a little taper on it. It looks like, I'm guessing it slides right into that hole there. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to put this together sort of the way that it would go on the car, and then we'll have to see whether or not that'll allow me to install it or not. I don't know yet. So it's that, and then we're going to have this. I gotta be in front of the camera. This guy goes on the end of the filter like this, and I took this out. The paper element, the blue part, was low and down in there, so it's going to have to go in with that on there like that. And then there was a spring which contacts this, and a washer which sits down below. So I'm going to put the washer on, I'm going to put the spring on, and then I'm going to try to slide this together. I'm hoping that this thing stays put and seals on its way down. Oh, I can look in there and see it. So yes, that stayed on. So now it's just a matter of mounting it in there, cleaning it up and making sure that everything reseals. I'm reusing the filter. The one that the guy gave me with it is for a Triumph. It's not this AC79, and it's smaller and doesn't have this. It's different. I don't think it's the right one. So I'm going to see how I can slide this on. I think the oil that was in this car is new. I mean, it's really clean. I don't know what the viscosity is. This motor's a little clanky and bangy. I know a lot of the guys on the websites and forums are running 2050 in these, which does seem pretty crazy to me, but it's what everybody's running. So I'm going to change the oil when I think I've got the leak under control. I just don't want to put good oil in a motor that's running a cord out on the ground every chance it gets. So I'm not going to over tighten this. We are just tightening up against the seal. But I want to make sure it's snugged, at least more snugged than the last guy did. My guess is he didn't have the generator off. He was trying to do this like maybe through this hole, or I don't even know, because it was really loose. So that's on there. Now we're going to take some carb cleaner and just sort of give it the business so that I can be sure that anything that shows up on this in terms of leakage is net new. So I'm rubbing the bottom real good. I'm rubbing all here real good. Rubbing back here. Just want to be able to see leaks if they pop up. So that's pretty much it for that part of it. I mean, it's installed. I will show you guys underneath how I have it cleaned up. So you'll be able to see the same thing that I see when it comes to if we get any more leaks. So this is all clean now. Any oil that comes and runs down this now, I mean, my finger's not actually showing it as clean, but that's actually more of the, stuff I just sprayed on, I think, leaking down. But this was coated in black before, and it's not perfectly clean, but I'm going to be able to see if it's leaking. And we will actually be able to come in here and get a good look at the drips. I think the other leak that we have is over here. This is where the torque converter is. You see there's a drip right on this. So this is the shift linkage here. This is clearly leaking. I just don't know if that's leaking or is pouring out or if that's just dripping. If that's just dripping, we can tackle it. But the main leak is it's just out of hand. It's so much oil. So the other thing we could have to tighten up is this has got blue sealant all around it. It's possible that's leaking. So we may have to do something with that. But we'll see. First things first, we'll fire it up without the generator in and we'll check for leaks. So I'll bring you guys back when I'm ready to do that. Folks, we are pretty much ready to fire this up and see if we have our oil filter housing not leaking. I put the plugs and everything back in. Put some cardboard under here just so we could see torque converter leak, center section oil filter housing leak. There's never been any leaks over here, but that's the size of the box. I did find these bolts across the bottom here were, I don't want to say finger tight, but they were super loose. Like, I don't know what the deal with this car is. I feel like everything I touch on it is super loose. I don't know if someone had it apart. I mean, that's been apart. There's blue RTV gooping out of it, but it was also supposedly rebuilt a million years ago. So I don't know who did that or when. That cover comes off and exposes sort of the clutch guts for the automatic transmission. Don't know if we'll get into that in this video series or not, but for now, I'm going to see if it'll start. And if it does start, I'm going to let it run for a bit to generate some oil pressure, generate some heat, and then see where it drips. I'm still expecting drips out of the torque converter, but I'm hoping we don't get the massive drips that we used to have. It does fire right up. Oil pressure light is on. I'm really hoping that's going to go off when the oil pressure canister fills, because that was empty. But we're not going to let it run too long without knowing that. Let's go see what's doing. I don't see any leaks. But that light is still on. Oh, I wonder if I have it unplugged. Yeah. I think it's unplugged. Yeah, let me get that light plugged in because it's making me nervous. So, good news. Well, mostly good news, I'll say. No major leaks before this cardboard would have been covered. So, the oil filter housing was definitely loose. Those bolts at the bottom on the trans there were loose. I do think that was 80% of it. I guess the bad-ish news is that we do still have a torque converter leak over here. It is still dripping. I mean, I don't want to say that's not a lot of oil. That is quite a bit of oil for a small area, but it's nowhere near what it was. So we are in a good spot. I need to hook the generator back up. There's still a concerning knock. Something else that I did that, I'm talking about the knock first. I can't tell what it is. It's not, it sounds like a rod knock, like a big end knock, but it's not doing it when those should typically do it. Like, you'll hear a rod knock on like acceleration oftentimes, or on deceleration. This is RPM specific. Like, it's quiet at low RPMs, it's quiet at high RPMs. There's like a middle range where I hear it. So a lot of things online about exhaust that can be clattering against the frame. We got this torque converter thing going on here with a leak. I don't know. I mean, usually if you hear something like that, a rod knock's a rod knock. That's what you got. That's what you got. But I'm not sure. We're going to have to do a little bit more investigating. I want to get the generator hooked back up because no cooling fan means I can only run it so long before we get into overheat territory. One other thing I wanted to clarify from a previous video, when I had the vacuum gauge hooked up and I was trying to tune this thing on one of the Willet runs, I was in this port here, which I kind of thought was non-ported vacuum. But after thinking about it, if it was not ported vacuum, then why would the distributor be hooked up to it? So I'm just an idiot. So I hooked the vacuum gauge up to non-ported lines. So this is true manifold vacuum, and the results are better. When I'll get a chance, I'll show it. I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still down here in the late timing area. But again, I have other things going on with the carb tuning and stuff that could be accounting for some of that. But yeah, ported vacuum. And if you're not sure what the difference is, ported vacuum means that the vacuum in this changes with the position of the butterfly and the vacuum in the carb here at the end of it. Basically, you get more vacuum or less vacuum depending on whether you're stepping on the pedal or not. And that's what sort of goes down, and that's what the distributors uses as a sense for his vacuum advance. So yeah, you want manifold vacuum when you're doing this stuff, not ported vacuum where it fluctuates with throttle. So yeah, that's it for this one. I am going to probably wrap up the oil leak video series here because we're not really leaking anymore. The big leaks are solved. I don't know. I mean, I'd love for you guys to put some comments on the kinds of things you like to see about this car. There's a lot I could still do on this. It's also at the point now with brakes being done and it running reliably, I could put this up for sale and move on to other projects. I'm not sure. Like I kind of like working on it. I want to clean the interior and do some paint work and stuff. But do I go through the effort to do the door? I have a green door and I have an NOS fender. I could replace these. And we could do a little bit of body work on this thing and really just clean the side of it up. But I'm not sure. I could sell those with the car for the next guy. I could fix it. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts. So if you could comment below, that would be awesome. Definitely subscribe if you could. I'm definitely getting some traction on the channel now, which is great, but obviously subscribers are key. And I have a lot of other content. Like I'm going to be doing a video on the bus this weekend about the awning. I have to resurrect the ferret. I got to get that Jeep out over there. Got to pull apart the military heater that heats the garage here. So there's all sorts of things that I could film and video. And again, I mean, if there's people subscribing and they're liking it, I do this stuff anyway. It's just a question of whether I film it or not. So if people are digging it, then I'm going to keep filming it. But yeah, please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll get back with the next video soon. Thanks.